The day my mother announced that my brother was moving into my house, everyone at the dinner table celebrated like it was the best news they had heard all year. There was only one problem. Nobody asked me. Because 2 days earlier, I had already sold that house. My name is Andrea Brooks, and for 7 years, that little house on Maple Street was the one thing in my life that belonged completely to me. I bought it with my own money, fixed it with my own hands, and turned it into a home through years of hard work. But my family never saw it that way. They saw me as the person who always handled things. The daughter who helped when bills became difficult. The sister who solved problems. The person who stayed calm while everyone else needed something. So when my mother stood up during Sunday dinner and announced that my brother Caleb and his 2 children would be moving into my home, she did not sound like she was asking. She sounded like she was making an arrangement. She had already chosen the rooms. She had already planned where everyone's furniture would go. She had already told people at church about my generosity. The only person who did not know was me. What my family did not understand was that my life was already changing. I had accepted a promotion at my accounting firm and was moving to a new city. I had quietly sold the house to a young couple, Claire and David Henderson. The papers were signed, the deal was complete, and I was only staying there temporarily until my move. I had planned to tell my family myself. I wanted to share my good news. I wanted to tell them I was starting a new chapter. But my mother took that choice away from me before I could even speak. She told everyone that Caleb needed the house because he was struggling and the kids needed more space. Everyone called it a blessing. Nobody asked if I agreed. At first, I stayed quiet, not because I accepted it, because after 34 years, I had learned that my role in the family was to keep the peace. I was always the one who gave, the one who fixed, the one who understood. A few days later, my mother called me and casually explained that the moving truck was booked. Boxes were ready and Caleb was already planning the rooms. Then my brother came to my house and walked through it like he already owned it. He talked about where his furniture would go and which room his children would sleep in. He was not trying to hurt me. That was the hardest part. He genuinely believed it was his because our mother had promised it to him. The moment that broke my heart came when I met my niece Ellie. She showed me a drawing she had made of my house. It had flowers in front, 2 children in the yard, and the words Aunt Andrea House written across the top. She believed she was moving. There, my family had made a promise to a child using something that never belonged to them. That was when I realized I could no longer stay silent. Went to my parents' house with documents, explaining everything, but before I could finish, my mother stopped me. She told me I was making things difficult. She said Caleb needed help. She said sharing my home cost me nothing. That was the moment I understood. She was not trying to understand me. She was trying to convince me to accept a decision she had already made. The days after, that became even worse. My family continued preparing for the move. My mother kept telling everyone how generous I was. My brother sent pictures of furniture he wanted to bring. Nobody asked how I felt. Then one afternoon, I came home and found my back door unlocked. Caleb had used the spare key my mother copied. He had walked through my house, measured rooms, and planned his future there without asking me. That night, something changed. I stopped feeling guilty. I started protecting myself. I told the new owners what was happening. Claire and David were shocked, but they handled it calmly. They arranged to change the locks and promised they would deal with the situation. Moving day arrived. Caleb showed up with a truck full of furniture. My mother stood at my old front door, holding the keys she had copied, completely confident that she was about to hand her son a new home. Then Claire opened the door. She calmly explained that she owned the house. My family froze. My mother insisted there had been a mistake. She said it was my house. She said family fills empty rooms, but this time, I finally spoke. There is no mistake, I told her. I sold the house. It closed weeks ago. It was never yours to give away. For the first time in my life, I watched my mother lose control of the story she had created. Later, my family demanded a meeting. My mother placed a paper on the table asking me to give Caleb money from the sale. She promised everything would go back to normal if I helped him one more time. But I finally understood she did not want help. She wanted me to return to the role I had always played. The person who sacrificed so everyone else could stay comfortable. So I said no. I told her the house was never empty. It was filled with my work. Memories, my struggles, my life. Then I placed my own papers on the table. They were education accounts for Ellie and Sam. Money saved directly for their future, not money for Caleb, not money for anyone else, to control a gift given with love, not a payment demanded through guilt. My mother became angry. She said that was not family, and that was when I finally understood the truth. To her, love only counted when she controlled it. For the first time in my life, I walked away without apologizing. Months passed. My mother stayed distant. My brother struggled, but eventually found his own apartment and rebuilt his life. My father started calling me every week, and slowly, things began to heal. I moved into my cottage near the lake. The flowers from my old house grew there too. Ellie and Sam started visiting on weekends, and my home became what I always wanted it to be, a place filled with love, not obligation. One day, Caleb came to my porch holding the old keys, the same keys my mother had copied. He looked at them and said, "These do not open anything anymore." Then he handed them back. It was not a perfect apology, but it was the first honest one. I still keep those keys, not because they remind me of betrayal, because they remind me of the moment I finally chose myself. For years, I believed loving my family meant giving them whatever they needed. Now I know something different. Love requires respect, kindness requires choice, and nobody should have to disappear just to make room for everyone else. My house was never an empty room. It was my life, and the greatest thing I ever built was not the house on Maple Street. It was the courage to finally protect it, because sometimes the smallest word is the most powerful one. No,